Good morning, my friends. In our continuing meditation on dualism and non-dualism, there is another kind that we haven't yet talked about. And that dualism is the kind that we keep within ourselves, judging certain thoughts or feelings as right or wrong, as acceptable or not acceptable, and looking at those aspects of ourselves that we feel are negative, maybe shameful, or embarrassing. And we do this because we see these aspects of ourselves as not me. How many times I've said that to myself? Well, that's not like me. Well, who else is it like if I have just done or said something that feels like one of those feelings to me? There is only me, and inside of me are both the demons and the blessings. If we stand against a certain part of ourselves that is not acceptable to us and push it away, that part becomes either more vigorous or seems to disguise itself and leak out in another way. One example of that might be feeling a very hostile kind of anger and finding that completely unacceptable to live inside of a compassionate person with great concern for others. And so we resist, deny, pull away, or judge ourselves. I certainly know that territory. Do you? And then what happens? Something that's mildly irritating, perhaps even done by a loved one, leads to an explosion of angry feelings and a feeling afterwards like, who was that person? Rather than not me, it is me. And I need to be able to hold both things as real and true. I am a deeply compassionate person with great concern for those who struggle and feel hopeless. And at the same time, I am someone who can burst out with anger that is completely unjustified and unmatched with the present moment. The secret for non-dualism is a willingness to compassionately accept and surrender to the demons of selfishness, self-justification, and hostility, for example, as they live inside of us. And in a surprising way, once accepted, those parts lose their power over us. Acceptance does not mean saying, these parts are quite okay with me because I like them. It means saying, I am both. I am both compassionate and hostile, and everything in between. There's a familiar story that is part of Tibetan Buddhism about this kind of non-dualism. So let us settle into our meditative practice today. Seated gently, with your back straight and comfortable, breathing in and breathing out. Notice just in this moment that breathing in and breathing out both coexist. And in between those two things that appear to be opposite is life itself. As you listen to this story, which is one of my favorites, maybe ask yourself, what is the demon in me that I find so unacceptable? It's about Milarepa. One evening, Milarepa returned to his cave after gathering firewood, only to find it filled with demons. They were cooking his food, reading his books, sleeping in his bed. They had taken over the joint. He knew about non-duality of self and other, But he still didn't quite know how to get these guys out of his cave, even though he had a sense that they were just part of his own mind. All the unwanted parts of himself, he didn't know how to get rid of them. So first he taught them about goodness. He sat on a seat that was higher than the demons and said things to them about how we are all one. He talked about compassion. Nothing happened. The demons were still there. Then he lost his patience and got angry and ran at them. They just laughed at him. Finally he gave up and just sat down on the floor, saying, "I'm not going away, and it looks like you're not either. So let's just live here together." At that point, all of them left except one. Milarepa said, "Oh, this one is particularly vicious." Now, we all know that one. Sometimes we have lots of them like that, and sometimes we feel that's all we've got. But back to Milarepa, who didn't know what to do. So he surrendered himself even further. He walked over, put himself right into the mouth of that demon, and said, "Okay, just eat me up if you want to," and surrendered. And then that demon left too. So we must hold both sides. Milarepa was a respected teacher throughout his community, and he was also a man who had within him many dark demons that he did not want to live with. Giving up, surrendering, sitting next to them, and finally saying, "Okay, fine. If you want to stir me up and just hang out in there, go ahead." And then the demon leaves. Also, non-resistance, non-dualism. All parts of us belong, even the ones that we really don't want, and deserve our attention. And that is freedom. And now as you sit with the quiet, allow it to come into your mind what one of your most undesirable demons may be inside. Think next about what is the opposite quality of that, such as compassion and hostility are for me. And take that positive and go and speak and be with the demon on the dark side. If I approach my hostility with compassion, what happens next? Contemplate on approaching your demon with the quality that exists on the other side of it. Just allow those thoughts to be in your mind and reflect on them. This is the work of meditation practice. Developing the courage and the clarity to approach the dark places inside of ourselves, accept them, and approach them with an aspect from the lighter side, the opposite. And bringing those two into one. Chances are they're related. Where might you start with that today? Take these new thoughts with you, my friends, and see what you notice. It takes practice. Namaste. Amen.